But I want to start, and I'm even going to open the phone lines. We rarely do this early, but I want to get the conversation in before maybe we go a lot of different directions. Yesterday, I think we talked kind of at length about the increased offensive efficiency for Washington. Brian, it's only 2 games.
Yes,
It's only
it is.
2 games. They're 10th in yards gained in the NFL. That is a massive departure from what it's been.
They played 2 games just like everybody else, and, I mean, one thing about it is we have a tendency whenever we do sports, and I don't care who it is, we normally talk about what somebody isn't doing or can't do. And when somebody is doing something, we kinda shy away from that, you know what I'm saying? But this is an opportunity. Hey, they started off the first 2 games, they're 1-1, and in the first game, we were, like, mad at a lot of stuff. Second game, you got a good little feel, you still want them to get better in the red zone, but the ultimate thing is they take care of the ball. They're efficient with what they're doing. Everybody has an idea of what Kliff Kingsbury should be doing, okay? But Kliff Kingsbury understands what he has and what he's trying to do. So I'm good with it. We can talk about that now because, like, we can talk about it this second week, and then everything can change next week. It can get better, it can get worse.
The
But we
numbers
talk
will
about it
change
weekly.
over
Yeah,
time.
we talk about it
Right.
weekly. So
They're 9th in the NFL in third down conversions offensively. I think that's really important. Their red zone touchdown.
that's something that they were not prior.
Right. Their red zone percentages aren't good.
Yeah.
To be honest
When
with
you
you
look
there.
at touchdown, I just, but from what you know off the top, it can't be.
Right. But if you look at just kind of the efficiency of the offense and how frequently when they have the ball, they're at least in a scoring chance.
Yeah.
Whether now it's been mostly field goals, but like they didn't punt the whole game against the Giants.
Yeah.
They had
Tress was completely dry when he ran off the field. Not one
They
drop
had
was
9 possessions, and one of them they took a knee because it was 8 seconds left before halftime at their own 30, right? Like, all right, that efficiency, of course, nobody's denying you'd like to have 6 and not 3.
Yeah.
But they're moving the ball, giving their team a chance to score, right?
I agree.
Even if you go back to the Bucks game where, listen, they got beat pretty good, but of the possessions in that game, the first one, I'm giving Jayden a pass. He talks about he gets butterflies before every game. It was his first ever NFL game, and on the first pass, he threw it backwards 15 yards.
I told you I did it for 14 years.
Right.
It doesn't leave you.
Right.
You just got to get past that first thing, and they're going to have to find out what is it that he needs to do on his first play. Because we've seen 2 plays now.
Sure.
One was a high one, and that was behind.
Totally.
And that it seems to be a thing. So you got to figure out something to where it's a toss.
Start on defense.
Yeah, a toss or a run. Do something else.
But even go back to that Tampa game where they were outclassed. Tampa looks like, we'll see when we get to power rankings later, but Tampa looks like they might be one of the best teams in the NFL, at least through 2 weeks.
Yeah.
They start with the 3 and out, but then they have a 10-play drive. They missed the field goal. Then they have an 8-play drive, and it's touchdown.
Yeah.
Then it's halftime. So of real possessions in the first half of that game, they had scoring opportunities on 2 out of 3.
Yep.
Then you get to the second half, missed field goal again. That's a 12-play drive with a missed field goal. Then there was a 3 and out. Then they scored. Then they had a 5 and out, and they scored again. So they had scoring opportunities on 5 of 7 possessions. Because to me, I mean, taking the knee with 16 seconds before halftime is hardly a real possession.
Yep.
They had the ball 1, 2, 3.
They were in scoring opportunities 72% of the time, 71.4% of the time.
To me, listen, there's a lot of new parts. I think Eckler, I think Brian Robinson, I think Zach Ertz are all helping. I think Noah Brown may prove to be a piece for this organization going forward. Obviously, you've got Terry McLaurin, some other receivers there. But to me, one of the huge differences is Jayden, and just Jayden. I think it'd be naive to think otherwise. I think offensively, if you just look at EPA, expected points above average, right? Like they are performing offensively at a clip that is among the best in the NFL. There's only 4 teams better than them. Now, defensively, it's got awful, but that's a different conversation. Because I want to talk about Jayden through 2 weeks.
Okay.
And if we want to make it about Kliff or weapons, I'm okay with that.
Well, they are attached at the hip.
Now, there is another side to this that I want to bring up. I don't only want to point out what I think are really positive things, right? Let's take a look at what happens every time the quarterback drops back across the NFL. All these things get charted. This one's charted by Pro Football Focus. And what I like about these charts from PFF, these are not subjective. These are not some dude's opinion on who's winning the top of a route. This is objective information because every time somebody drops back, there's a series of outcomes that will happen. A pass is completed, a pass is on target, a quarterback scrambles, a quarterback throws it away, a quarterback gets sacked, or the ball gets batted down. The goal of a drop back is to complete the pass.
Totally.
The best team in the NFL at that is the Detroit Lions. They are hitting a pass on target 77% of the time. Very, very, very little scrambling, not a lot of sacks. Weirdly, a decent amount of balls batted away. But you've got the top four, I'll give you. You've got Detroit, the Rams, the Seahawks, all at above 70% passes on target. Now, the bottom three in this, pretty damn interesting. I'm not going to bury the lead. Washington's dead last in passes on target.
Okay.
They've had 29% of their passes on target. 36% of dropbacks result in scrambles. 4% in throwaways. 32% in sacks. 0 balls batted down.
Okay.
On the surface level, those numbers seem a little alarming. I would argue there's context involved. But let me give you the next two teams from Washington. Washington, 29% passes on target. Baltimore Ravens, Lamar Jackson, they're next. 33% passes on target, 25% scrambles, a lot more throwaways for Lamar. 17% throwaways, 17% sacks, and a lot more balls batted down, 8%. We just talked about the Bucs. Bucs are 2-0. Just went to Detroit, won a tough guy game.
Yeah.
The Bucs are third in this thing. Baker Mayfield, 37% passes on target, 26% scramble rate, 5% throwaway, 32% sack rate. The exact same sack rate as Jayden Daniels.
Okay.
Almost the exact same throwaway rate. I can keep going. Joe Burrow is actually next. The Bengals, fourth in this. 38% on target, 25% scramble, 8% throwaway, 25% sack, 4% batted balls. I think a number of things. I'm curious if you agree with me. We're not going to lie. You want the passes on target to go up, period.
Yeah, you want them to go up.
I think when those go up, the other numbers, the sack and the scramble numbers, will dip. That's just kind of inherent. If something goes up, something else has to change. There's still only 100% of these things happening. I don't find this alarming. I find it contextual. I think against Tampa, he ran a ton. I think a lot of that had to do with Tampa blitzing like crazy.
Yeah.
And I haven't had time to do this. Maybe we do it live on the air. I want to chart that out to the second half of the Giants game when I think he finally realized, okay, they're not blitzing all the time like Tampa. I can wait a beat. I can get the ball out. And he went 12 of 16. And I think as this goes forward, I think that's the Jayden that is going to perhaps become a really special player in the NFL. He still runs. He still scrambles. Well, he still shows the dynamic talent.
My mind goes to this. Watch another team that has a guy that can't scramble. And when they don't throw it on target, see, Jayden scrambles might get the first down. Does the other guy's sacks go up? Does the other guy throwaways go up? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's depending on the ability of the quarterback they're rushing or whatever. It can change up things. So looking at it in a certain way might not be it looks bad with the percentages, but could it be all that bad if when you decide to tuck it and go, you get a first. You may get a touchdown.
I'm with you. I think his sack rate, and there was so much made about sack rate, his sack rate isn't that out of whack. Like I said, it's the same as Baker Mayfield. It's actually lower than who's playing for the Raiders right now. Gardner Minshew.
Yeah.
It's about it's pretty
this is a question
comparable to Burrow.
This is a question I'll ask Neil when he gets on here. Guys that have athleticism and believe they can make something out of it, do they have a higher sack ratio? Because those guys hold the ball a little bit longer.
So there are players that I think Jayden should try to approach, and I think he will, dude. It's 2 games in. Josh Allen, okay, is a runner. Josh Allen runs. We have like a weird racial preconception about what we're able to say about a quarterback. He's a white dude. I get it. He's a running quarterback. Josh Allen, his target rate, though, is at 47%. I think that is where Jayden should be striving to get to, 45, 40%. Because Josh Allen is then running 26% of the time. He's got the 5% throwaways, 5% batted balls. He gets sacked less. I think some of his getting sacked less is he's just a unit. He's really hard to bring down, kind of in that Roethlisberger mode. But the difference with Allen and Jayden, Allen runs all the time. I'm cool with Jayden running. Just get that target rate higher. I think if you look at mobile quarterbacks that don't run but are certainly shifty, like a guy like Dak, just their target rate is so high that the only thing for me is I'm not looking for you to run less. I'm just looking for you to complete more passes. And I think that will alleviate the stress.
Is that target rate about completing the pass, or is it throwing the ball to the person? Because hell, he's completing 75% of his passes.
Sure.
He's not like missing most passes.
Now, some of this is just some of these teams throw so much more. So their number, like the fact that Anthony, all right, I got a break. I understand, Landfill. Anthony Richardson's numbers in this look really good. Anthony Richardson's completing like 42% of his passes.
There you go.
You got to take the full context. Here's what we're going to do. How excited are you about Jayden? Do the advanced analytics to sacks and scrambles concern you? Or does the eye test where the kid is clearly passing with flying colors have you fired up?